We are 5 episodes in for the show A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and I am impressed. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms follows Sir Duncan the Tall, a down-on-his-luck Hedge Knight, and Egg, the sharp, mysterious boy who basically invites himself along as his squire. Instead of bouncing between 10 plot lines, we mostly stay with this duo as they wander into a tourney that's way above their pay grade, brushing up against Targaryens, lords, and the politics of Westeros without ever losing that underdog vibe. The real hook is the chemistry between Dunk and Egg. Peter Claffey plays Dunk with this huge, earnest, slightly dopey charm, while Dexter Sol Ansel gives Egg a quick-witted, watchful energy that constantly needles him in the best way. Together, they feel like a classic odd couple double act. The big, soft-hearted knight and the too clever for his own good kid. And a lot of the humor and emotion comes from just watching them talk, bicker, and quietly look out for each other. As someone who's read the Dunk and Egg graphic novels, the show absolutely captures that same energy on screen. The warmth, the banter, the sense of a huge world glimpsed from two very small people's eye level. You can tell the adaptation sticks close to the novellas, while expanding moments and side characters in ways that give scenes more room to breathe, without losing the intimate feel. One of the biggest surprises is how light on its feet this series is. Episodes are only about half an hour, and multiple critics have pointed out how briskly they move, to the point where the main complaint is that the season is too short and leaves you wanting more. It's still Westeros, but the show uses quicker cuts, flashbacks, and punchy humor, even dropping in touches like jazz, to keep scenes flowing in a way that feels built for modern, short attention spans rather than dense, hour-long political lectures. That's why it's such an easy watch even if you struggled with Game of Thrones. There are no endless maps, no giant family trees to memorize, no dragons chewing up half the runtime. Just a grounded, almost cozy fantasy about a knight, his squire, and the trouble they walk into. Every episode feels shorter than it actually is because you're so engrossed, and by the time the credits roll, it genuinely feels like you've only been with them for 10 minutes and you immediately want the next one. You absolutely do not need to have watched Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon to get into this. The show is set earlier in the timeline and is deliberately designed as a low-stakes entry point. Same world, same level of craft, but focused on one knight, one kid, and one corner of Westeros instead of continent-spanning chaos. For long-time fans, there are satisfying echoes, familiar houses, hints about Targaryen history, whispers of dragons long gone and dreams that might matter later. But if you're new, all of that just reads as flavor. You can enjoy this purely as a character story about an underdog knight trying to do the right thing in a world that doesn't make that easy. Compared with the dense, high fantasy sprawl of Game of Thrones, the Hedge Knight feels intentionally smaller and more focused, and that's a strength. Critics describe it as a bite-sized version of Westeros that mixes gross-out gags, heartfelt moments, and sudden bursts of violence, but always comes back to the humanity of its two leads and the hope in their friendship. There are still shocks, stakes, and moral gut punches. This is George R.R. Martin after all. Yet the overall vibe is warmer and more optimistic, with more humor than House of the Dragon and less relentless grimness than late-stage Thrones. If you bounced off the earlier shows because they felt too dense or joyless, this spin-off is the rare Westeros story that's genuinely welcoming, fast, and fun to watch, without dumbing anything down. They have started well, let's hope they can finish the season strong. If you've been on the fence about diving back into Westeros, let this be your sign. Give the Hedge Knight a shot. It's lighter, faster, and so much more character-driven than you might expect. And Dunk and Egg are honestly some of the most lovable leads this world has had in years. So, when you're done with this video, go queue up episode 1 and just see how quickly that I'll try one turns into, okay, just one more. Then come back and tell me your favorite Dunk and Egg moment in the comments. I'm really curious how it lands for people who bounced off Game of Thrones. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more spoiler-light TV talk like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.